if we're going to talk about the Adam Henrique trade, which sends center Adam Henrique as well as center left winger Joseph Blandisi with a 2018 third from the Devils to the Anaheim Ducks in exchange for Sami Vatanen and a conditional pick, we gotta talk about both teams here. In my opinion, no team loses this trade, and here's why. First off, we got the Anaheim Ducks. They're plagued with injuries right now. Right now, they got guys like Ryan Kesler, Ryan Getzlaf, Brandon Montour, I think, and Ricard Raquel. These guys are all out. Patrick Eaves is out for the season. So, Anaheim has a team where they really do need to make some desperation attempts to save their team because they've got a lot of AHL guys right now playing. So far, you know, it's not really the best security that they can get, but it's the only thing they got. What are you going to do, right? You got all these injuries. So what do? They send Sami Vatanen and a conditional pick over to the Devils in exchange for center Adam Henrique as well as Blandisi. So Adam Henrique, right now, right away, he slots in on their first line. And you got yourself a first line with guys like, you can put Cogliano up there, Ritchie, Corey Perry, Silverberg, and you can have Adam Henrique as your first line center. You can genuinely have that because right now their other centers, Getzlaf and Kesler, they're out. So if you're taking a look at this team right now, it's a little bit better than before. You could debate on whether or not Vatanen or Henrique makes a significant impact to the team in the same way, but the defensive pairings still aren't bad for Anaheim. You got yourself Lindholm and Manson, Fowler, Montour, Beauchemin, and Bieksa. Now, Bieksa and Beauchemin, you could say whatever you want about them, but they're still NHL defensemen. You gotta remember that. There are a little bit of mishaps that happen with these two guys, but for the most part, you know, you can sort of rely on these guys. So it's debatable to say that the Anaheim Ducks defensive core is already fairly strong without Vatanen. So what they do is they get rid of this guy, they bring in Henrique, and Henrique can slot in on that first line center position for now. Once Getzlaf and Kesler are back, maybe Henrique gets down to the second line, maybe he's on the third line. You got a good center core there when you have all of your guys healthy. The Devils, on the other hand, oh my goodness, I think this was a really good trade for New Jersey, and here's why. The Devils give up Adam Henrique, and Henrique, at the time of this recording, he was 6th on the Devils in scoring. He had 14 points in 24 games, however, he wasn't a part of that first line. That first line had guys like Taylor Hall, Nico Hischier, and I want to say Jesper Bratt as well. So overall, New Jersey, they've had some really good success, not even just from Adam Henrique, they've got a lot of success overall. Their offense has been surprisingly good ever since they got that surprise first overall draft pick in Nico Hischier, who's already their first line center. You got ourselves a good second line too. They got Zacha, Travis Zajac, and Marcus Johansson. Johansson, he's always been a beast. Zacha is coming into his own, and Travis Zajac is solid as a player as well. Henrique fit on this team well, but the thing is, he's going to get more playing time, he's going to get more exposure when he's in with Anaheim, because Anaheim is the team that's got all their centers injured. The Devils, on the other hand, right away, Sami Vatanen is in their top 4. Because Sami Vatanen has always been a really good top 4 defenseman, a power play specialist, if you want to say that. So, the Devils, what they got on defense now, they got themselves Andy Green, Santini, Will Butcher is still there, he's having a fantastic year as well. He might play alongside Vatanen, Vatanen might play with Andy Green, who knows, and you got yourself John Moore and Damon Severson, who was most likely in that top 4 spot before Vatanen came in. And even if you don't want to have Vatanen in your top 4, you want to put Vatanen on that third pairing. That's not a bad decision. I mean, as long as you play the guys correctly, it'll be fine. But Vatanen is definitely capable of being a top 4 on most NHL teams, this team included. So the Devils, they got themselves a really good puck mover in Vatanen, and he's going to be playing alongside Will Butcher. And Butcher is already having a fantastic first year as an NHL rookie. He's gotten so many points as a defenseman, he's always feeding the puck up, and these guys, along with Taylor Hall, Hischier, and Bratt, they're bringing up Butcher's point totals. So imagine what it's going to be like instead. Vatanen over to Butcher, in front to Taylor Hall, shot scores. We're going to see a lot of that coming from New Jersey. And a lot of that really does have to do with the fact that Sami Vatanen is a solidified top 4 defenseman in the NHL. This is fantastic for New Jersey, but it's also fantastic for the Ducks, because the Ducks, their defensive core, I believe it's still strong even without Vatanen. They got themselves Montour, Lindholm, Manson, and you got the good depth guys like Bieksa and Beauchemin. Cam Fowler hasn't played all the games this season, but he's still definitely an important player on this Anaheim Ducks team. So really, just looking at the players, the roster players that were traded up in this trade, it's a win-win for both teams, because New Jersey gets another puck-moving defenseman, and the Ducks get a first-line center that they can confidently play on their first line, while Getzlaf and Kessler are recovering. Of course, we can't forget about the few other tidbits of information from this trade as well. Henrique was sent over alongside Joseph Blandisi and a third-round pick from next year's draft. Blandisi is a guy who's played in the NHL before, but he's primarily played in the AHL for the past few seasons. He's a center-left winger guy, and because of what Anaheim's going through, I think they're just going to give this guy a shot. He's probably going to play in the Ducks, let's be honest. A lot of the Ducks really do have AHL players anyway, because they need to recover for all those injuries. So what's wrong with adding one more, especially a guy who's played in the NHL in the past? So I strongly believe that Blandisi's most likely going to slot into their bottom 6, and that'll be pretty good. And they also get a third-round pick, so that's cool. So everything balances out, sort of, because Vatanen was sent alongside a conditional draft pick for Henrique, Blandisi, and the third. And if we're talking about the conditional draft pick, according to a Reddit comment, this is the conditions for the third-round pick. If the Anaheim Ducks sign Adam Henrique to a new contract for 2019-20 prior to the selection of their third-round pick in 2019, the Ducks will give that pick to the Devils. If the Ducks sign Henrique to a new contract for 2019-20 after the selection of their third-round pick in 2019, the Ducks will give a 2020 third-round pick to the Devils. And if Henrique does not sign with the Ducks, no picks are exchanged. So basically, that's what you got with this trade. A whole bunch of conditional picks and a bottom 6 forward, as well as Vatanen and Henrique. And overall, this is not like the Larson for Taylor Hall deal. I believe that New Jersey really did make a good trade here, but it wasn't one of those trades where everyone's going to be like, what the hell, why'd you only give up Adam Larson for Taylor Hall? That's a steal. I don't think anyone over here is saying that either team really got a steal, because taking a look at both sides, this trade benefits both sides tremendously. It especially benefits Anaheim, because they need the support right now with all their injuries. So Adam Henrique comes in and he's the savior, and it doesn't really cost them that much because their defensive core was already pretty good even without Vatanen. And the Devils, on the other hand, they get themselves a really good puck-moving defenseman to play alongside Butcher and to help that first line of a bomb continue scoring goals. And the second line, too. You can't count out the Devils this year. They're actually very good. The Ducks, they're in that Pacific Division, and the Pacific right now is really tight, but the Ducks are trying everything they can to stay up, and this trade helps them. It helps them tremendously, and it helps the Devils as well. So overall, this is a good trade on both ends. Anaheim also gets themselves that bottom 6 forward who has that NHL experience. Overall, I love this trade. And it's just so crazy that a whole bunch of trades happened all at the same time, because we got this trade and we got the Adam Cracknell trade. We also had Cole Lind being diagnosed with mono. We had Derek Dorsett having to retire. Hockey's been crazy today. What the hell, man? Hope you guys enjoyed this video for Apologies Now for Troll Psychonauts Gaming, and bye.